I listened to a fantastic podcast just yesterday about how to build your first £100,000. And I think when people hear that, if they're starting on the gym, like not can't do it.
Mm,
And when we're talking about things like compound interest, it is magic, it certainly is magic, but the discipline of getting started and just that £5 a week or £5 a month, whatever it is, at the start, that's much more important than actually thinking about the compound interest is going to do all of the work. So it's getting over that fear, isn't it? Of just,
definitely.
I'm going to put in £5.
I think the other thing is that everyone talks about compound interest in quite a bit. But what we also need to realize is that you need to get to the 100,000 first, as that's when you really start to see it. So what I tell people is you need
Yeah,
to focus on getting the capital first and invest in it, rather than going, oh, if this compounds over 30 years, they go, well, it's not going to compound that much if you don't put the capital in itself. So it is putting that £5 in
yeah,
at the
yeah,
beginning
yeah.
and keeping it constant, which really creates this compounding effect.
I think that's spot on. It's understanding the behavior is sometimes our financial behaviors aren't particularly, how to say this, it's not conventional or it's not logical. We're sometimes we don't think in the way that is
Mm.
logical. So even though we know putting £5 away is what the best thing is for us, we will do everything that we can not to do that and to spend it on the coffee. So starting those good financial behaviors
Mm.
is such in a way that you've suggested, that I think when people ask me, how should I start investing? What should I do? I always say just start small, start consistently,
Mm.
and that's going to be your best way to get introduced to it. Because otherwise, you look up at the summit of the mountain, and you think, no, there's no way I can do that, and it can become quite
Yeah,
overwhelming.
definitely. No, I had this one person reach out to me recently, and she was saying, "Oh, she's too scared to start." But when I said about
Yeah,
doing a £5, she goes, "Well, £5 isn't a lot. Like you can relate to. Okay, it might be a McDonald's meal or a couple of coffees, or I don't know how much nails cost, but maybe not a set of nails for 1 week, and then yeah,
yeah,
it's not a huge
yeah,
amount to risk in the terms of it.
yeah. Very much so. Very much
I
so.
think
And I think also we have to be. Sorry. Go ahead, Ben.
I think another thing is interesting is like we say about the psychology of it. So I read a book. It's The Psychology of Money, and it's a very, very good book. I enjoyed it a
Right.
lot. And in it, he basically says is that your financial decisions at the time is not incorrect, though it may be incorrect to someone else. So you and your
Yeah.
mindset, when thinking about it directly, it makes sense to you at the time. In the future, you might go, why did I do that? Or to someone else going, you could invest it, but it also
Yeah.
comes down to where your head is in at that specific time.
100%. I mean, hindsight is a wonderful thing, but it can be quite torturous as
Mm.
well. I mean, yeah. Now we're in 2021. I can look back at my investment portfolio in 2020 and see the dip in
Oh,
March and say, well, why didn't I add couple of extra £100 or whatever, or put more into my portfolio? Well, yes, of course, it's easy to do that when you're looking
mm.
back, but at the time you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, it's going down, it's going down."
It was an
And so you're
experience.
dealing with, yeah, exactly. You're dealing with the irrational feelings, and that's where a plan of action really
Mm.
helps. Having a list of, I've heard people writing down, a list of investing rules that they adhere to. I don't withdraw my money when the market goes into town, and kind of reminding yourself of those investment principles, so that if anything like that does happen again, which inevitably
Mm.
will, that you don't panic, and you just go with the flow. And I think with the £5 a week, that does take the fear out of it, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Because if you lose £5, you go, oh well, that's okay. So you're getting the experience of seeing the volatility of the market, seeing how it can go up and down.
Yeah. This also is
Yeah,
you can get more confidence as you go along, can't you? £5 is not a lot until it becomes a few £100, and then oh, how? Hang on a second, I've got a grand now in an account. How the hell did I get this? and it's just built up that much
That's right.
that you're going to get that confidence, and that's what it is having that beginning confidence, taking faith.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, the other thing to say as well is when you do get over that 100K
Mm,
mark, the swings of the market, so it can work in both ways.
yeah.
So if you have a 2% swing, you're like, whoa, that's amazing, great. But also, if you have a 2% swing downwards, you're like, oh gosh, ooh, that hurts a little bit more. So everything gets, it just becomes a little bit more of a different experience. So the compound interest can work in both ways, and that snowball gets bigger,
Yeah,
but the dips can be really harsh as
it
well.
simply amplifies everything, doesn't it? And
Which
you need that motion that it doesn't amplify your emotions at the same time.
yeah, not being driven by
Mm,
emotion is probably the biggest thing that I've learned about investing since starting. And when I began, I was.
yeah,
And luckily, I've been able to surround myself around people that have really taught me so many things, podcasts, YouTube videos about trying to take that emotion out of it. And if I do get to a point where I am becoming emotional about it, to take the step back and to say, no, this is not part of the plan. Be as rational as you can.
yeah. I think it also that comes down to you having confidence in your holdings. Like if you aren't a very
Yeah,
confident investor, then ETFs might be better. And then ETFs, you know that you just own everything and you don't have to worry about it.
yeah,
Now, I remember, like you said, in March when we had that huge dip, my portfolio went down 22%. But some
mm,
people will go, like, that's a massive amount. 22% is huge, which it is. But because I know I'm a long time investor, is I was ecstatic. I was like, yes, I can really average down in my positions, and it's great. And I felt so happy with it at such a young age, being so low.
that I was listening to on another podcast because the last financial crisis, I was in
Mm.
university. I wasn't experienced in the world of work, so I didn't really experience that downturn financially. Of course, I remember seeing things change, shops closing, all those kind of things, but didn't really have that experience of doing it. But what was unique about this one, I think, and perhaps in a well, this it's a double-edged sword. Perhaps in a way we're lucky that the way it was kind of down and up, like a V-shaped recovery so far, hopefully. Um,
Yeah.
and what was great about that is it went so sharply down. It was like ripping off the band-aid. You go,
Yeah.
oh, that really hurts, but it was done. And when I was looking back at some other market downturns, it's kind of creeping down and down, and it's kind of like this painful over a number of months where it just keeps like, when is this going to end?
Yeah.
So, in a way, I was quite thankful. It just went, ugh, there's like a sharp drop, and you're like, right, that's what it is.
Yeah, because you knew where you stood
And I
then,
think
didn't you?
exactly, but also a lesson that for the future to be reminded that these types of downturns can happen over a matter of months or years, even.
Mm.
So you have to bring your A game in your investment mentality to be able to deal with these kind of things. Now, of course, the sharp drop and the sharp rise in the market has meant that more people have become interested in investing,
Yeah.
but maybe not for the right reasons. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
I do have to agree. Uh, A lot of people have joined in around that March date or just after, seen the whole market dip. They got in and they've seen these amazing returns. It's been a phenomenal year and a bit. It's this. I
Yeah.
think it's blown everyone's minds really. That returns that if you got dumped everything in, you could have just made loads of money. And I think that's
Mm.
put some people in a false sense of hope and security, thinking it can only go up. It's a
Yeah.
famous saying, stocks only go up. But it's not quite like that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
quite a volatile market. And at the moment, I feel like there's a lot of things going on and almost too much. With like the amount of SPACs, IPOs, you've got the non fungible tokens coming out now, cryptocurrencies. There's a lot of noise. And It's
Yeah,
quite
yeah, yeah.
risky that you try and listen to everything at once, in my opinion.
So you heard Ben just then in his opinion, and indeed this video is our opinion. We're having a general discussion around the subject of finance. This certainly does not constitute as financial advice, and please seek your own independent financial advice. See you next time. Bye now.